Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another instructional video. Today's topic, I'm going to show you how I create egg boxes to incubate ball python eggs. I've had a few different people reach out to me in the last couple weeks for help. Some of them in case of trying to prepare ahead of time because they think a clutch is coming, or one follower who had a clutch that he missed the ovulation and didn't realize he was about to get it. That can happen. It happened to me, my very first clutch many years ago before I started 7th level reptiles, my first breeding attempt. I missed the signs and I got an unexpected clutch. And so I'm going to kind of take you through this and hopefully help you prepare better than I did the first time I got a clutch. And hopefully we'll have some fun along the way. But this is just a quick video to help you out, and I hope you enjoy. So without further ado, let's start with step one. Step one is to have an incubator and have it ready. So my incubator is right here. This is actually a professionally built one that I purchased. But I started out with a stand-up freezer that I turned into an incubator. It actually worked great. I kind of wish I had hung on to it, to be honest, but now I have that incubator. And the reason I make that step one is because my first clutch I ever got, I did not have an incubator. I wasn't in a great place financially. So honestly, I probably shouldn't have started trying to breed ball pythons. I was just really excited. This was in like 2009, but I was waiting and I missed the signs. And so I had a clutch of eggs and I didn't have an incubator. I won't share that whole story. But step one is have your incubator ready. Okay. Step two is to select your container. Now, you can use many different sizes. This is a 6-quart Sterilite tub. This is probably the most popular size for ball python egg incubation. You can use bigger. I actually have a couple of 7-quart tubs in there. It just gives you a slightly more headroom. So if you have a really big clutch that's stuck together and you don't want to separate them, it gives you a little more space. But a 6-quart tub is fine. I found that I can fit 10 eggs most of the time, unless they're just really, really huge. I can fit 10 eggs in a 6-quart container. If it's larger than 10 egg clutches, which hasn't happened to me very often, my average so far this year is 7 eggs per clutch. But if it goes over 10, I'll just separate them into two tubs for that one clutch. And I have had to do that before. Okay, so that's step two, select your container. Step three is to choose your hatching medium. So I'm going to try and bring this to you rather than moving the camera, but this is what I am currently using. This is vermiculite. I got this at my local feed store, and they had A1 grade vermiculite, which is a super fine, as you can see here. It's really, really tiny, fine, and it works perfect. However, I would probably recommend a grade A2 or A3 if you can find it. That's all that my store had at the time, and this is my 3rd season incubating off of this bag, which cost me like 20 bucks. So that's the beautiful thing about vermiculite, and why I use it now is 20 bucks for this gigantic bag that is going to last me for 3 to 4 seasons of breeding. Of course, that depends, on how many eggs you're producing each year. But you can get smaller bags at like Home Depot and Lowe's and places like that, gardening stores. But vermiculite and water is a great combination. Just one note there, if you don't feel confident, although you should after you watch this, using vermiculite, you can make it a lot simpler by getting yourself some Hatchright. Hatchright is available from a variety of places online. You can get a 2-pound bag if you're just starting out and you have 1 or 2 clutches, that's fine. Or some places will sell it bulk in a non-branded bag of 20 pounds. So you can get quite a few clutches out of that, and it obviously is a lot more cost-effective to do it that way. But then you got a big bag like this, you got to have a place to keep it. Hatchright, all the work is done for you, so you literally just pour a couple inches in the bottom of your tray, and you put your eggs on it, and you're ready to go. So next step is step 4, which is to weigh your hatch medium. So I'm going to pause it and we'll go over to the scale, and I'll show you how I do that with the vermiculite and the water to make the medium that we'll incubate our eggs on. All right, so here you go. You can see I have my container is on the scale and it is zeroed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting my hatching medium in there. I'm going to do this really carefully. the reason that I advise that you look for a grade 2 or 3 is because this grade 1 stuff is so fine. It spills easily, it sticks to everything, and so it really does make a wonderful mess if you're not careful with it, and sometimes even if you are. So there you go. I'm at 298. I personally like to shoot for 300 grams of vermiculite and 300 grams of water. As long as you match the ratio 1 to 1, so your water weight equals your vermiculite weight, then that's what you're going to shoot for. So I'm going to zero this, and I'm just going to take my pitcher and I'm going to start pouring water slowly on it. And I like to go ahead and just go up and down, mix it back and forth until I get to that 298 or 300 gram mark of water. So as long as it's 1 to 1, weight of each is equal, you really can't go wrong. So that's a little bit extra there, but I'm going to tell you that'll be just fine. I might take just a touch more vermiculite just to make it equal, and we're good to go there. So I know that was not quite what I said, but again, it doesn't have to be like exact. It's close enough, and I know that for doing it. But if you go 1 to 1 on weight, you will be ready to go. So let's move on to step 5. All right, so step 5 is to mix your vermiculite and water. You want to mix it very thoroughly. You'll see that the water instantly makes it darker than the dry stuff. So you'll just want to kind of work it back and forth with your hand until all of it looks like it's got the water absorbed in there. Won't take much. Now, because I use this super fine stuff, I always put on a glove because this will stick to you, and it's just a lot easier to wear the glove and clean that off than to have to try and rinse it off and get it all over the place. But once it's well mixed, here's how you know that you got the right ratios. Now, again, weighing should be pretty foolproof, but if you take a clump in your hand and you squeeze it, you can see no water comes out, but in my hand it clumps together. So it'll break back apart real easy, but when you squeeze it, no water, but it clumps. All right? If you got no water coming out and it clumps, you're good. That's just a secondary check because when the weight's 1 to 1, you're good to go. All right, so that's it for mixing it up. So step 6, I guess, would be to cover it and put it in your incubator. So there you go, 6 easy steps. Cover it, put it back in your incubator. Now you always want to give it a week. I give it at least a week. It doesn't have to be that long, but you want to give it time in your incubator before you put the eggs on it so that the water and the hatching medium can come up to temperature so that by the time you put your eggs on it, the hatching medium is already the same temperature that it needs to be incubated on. You may see there's some people will use trays or light diffusers on top of the hatching medium. I don't ever do that. I just kind of settle the eggs into the substrate, which you can see on any of my egg prep videos or egg pulling videos. But the reason I do it is, I don't know, that's just how I've always done it. I never saw the need to pay the extra expense to get like the easy hatch trays or light diffusers, which you cut, and it basically creates a plastic grate. It gives you separation between the hatching medium itself and the eggs. And the reason people do that is because if your eggs get too wet, they'll start to mold and you can lose the egg. Doing the right ratio, I've never had that happen, but if you want to be careful or you just like the way it looks better, you can use a hatch tray or a light diffuser to get it up. And in that case, it really doesn't matter how wet your medium is because the moisture is separated from the eggs. You're trying to get the humidity as high as possible up into the high 90s, and that's why we put this hatching medium in here, is because it keeps the humidity in the egg box in the high 90s throughout the entire incubation period. But you could even, if you have a separator like a hatch tray, you could even put just water in the bottom and something to separate it, and that would be fine. But I find this to be very simple, very easy, and very effective, which is why I use it, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. So there you go. Those are the steps. All right, so step 1, choose an incubator and make sure it's ready. Step 2, select your tub size that you want to use. Step 3, select your hatching medium. Step 4 is to weigh your hatching medium in water. Unless you're using something like Hatch Right, then you just have to put in according to the instructions on the bag. Step 5, if you used vermiculite like I did, is to mix the water and the substrate till it's equal, thoroughly mixed, and then step 6 is to put it in your incubator to get up to temperature so that you're ready when the eggs drop. I know this has been a lot, and I probably talked more than I should, but I thank you for tuning in. I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and share it with a friend. And that's it for today, but I want to remind you, as always, to share the love of reptiles with anybody you can. See you later.